Our series begins with our little heroine, Lena. We see her receiving an envelope which turns out to contain instructions about a new competition the company is launching, a dating show. Her assistant Gina tells her that this is their last chance to become famous. But suddenly, their conversation is interrupted by a sneaky girl, Haya, who snatches the envelope and arrogantly tells Lena that no one but her is going to win. From their conversation, we gather that the show is a 3-day dating program featuring 3 girls and 3 male celebrities, and whichever couple forms the most genuine connection will win the competition. The argument ends with Haya taking the envelope from Lena and even hitting her. But then, Xian, Lena's identical twin sister, shows up and threatens Haya, saying she recorded everything and will expose her. Fearing for her reputation, Haya gives the envelope back, silent with shock. But of course, trouble doesn't end there. Haya warns Lena not to wear red in the promotional poster for the show, so Lena decides to wear a white dress. However, Xian has other plans. Xian shows up pretending to be Lena, looking stunning in a red dress, even more beautiful than Haya. The photographer is so impressed, he puts her in the center of the shoot because she stands out. Naturally, Haya doesn't let it go. She keeps pulling at Xian's hair in secret. Meanwhile, a mysterious person appears and causes Lena to fall down the stairs just as she's trying to call Xian. Unfortunately, Lena is seriously hurt and taken away by an ambulance. Xian is extremely worried, but Gina convinces her to temporarily take Lena's place in the competition. At this point, the show's producer tells Xian, who's pretending to be Lena, that her male counterpart on the show has dropped out, so she decides to persuade him herself and visits his office. There, she meets John, the executive producer and main sponsor of the show. She offers him part of her prize money, but the moment he turns around and she sees his face, she flashes back to their high school days. Turns out he was her classmate, and someone she once had a huge crush on. Xian rushes out of the office and tells Gina the whole story, how she confessed her love to him, only to be rejected. To save face, she had pretended to be crazy, giving love letters to every boy in school just like she gave one to him. Since that day, he was so freaked out he left the school, and even the whole city. Now comes the selection moment. 2 guys want Lena, Xian in disguise, while nobody pays attention to Xian, until our charming prince Sejun appears. He agrees to partner with her and playfully flirts with her in front of the others. Xian is super annoyed because everyone thinks they're a romantic couple, but in reality, he's blackmailing her, demanding even more money than she originally promised him. In the show's first filmed scene, all the contestants sit together for dinner. Haya and her partner act overly clingy and disgusting. Xian tries to mimic them, but everything backfires and makes her look ridiculous. Later, John asks her for another payment, and even holds out his hand to collect it, like it's a business deal. In another scene, they're in a car together, with a camera filming, of course. Xian tries to flirt, but it ends up looking like some awkward circus act. She doesn't know what to say or how to act naturally. John starts to suspect something and asks if he's seen her somewhere before. In a sudden burst of fake confidence, she sarcastically replies, "Of course, I'm a famous artist with 6,000 fans." Meanwhile, Haya is plotting something yet again. Something bad is clearly about to happen. Using an old trick, Haya accuses Xian of stealing her bracelet, and sure enough, it turns up in Xian's bag. But Xian knows exactly what Haya is up to, so she throws the bracelet on the ground. Haya immediately claims Xian broke it and demands compensation. Just then, John walks in and tells Xian that Haya is right. And since he's the program's sponsor, Xian must pay for the damage. As Haya turns to leave, she accidentally bumps into the table, spilling John's drink all over his expensive clothes. Now he too demands compensation. His jacket costs even more than the bracelet. Haya ends up in a humiliating situation, forced to pay for both. But then John transfers that same money to Xian, what she had originally promised him. So in a way, she gets her money back. Later, Xian chats freely with Gina and accidentally presses on a voice note on her phone. She's talking, again, about high school, about how she confessed her love to John. As soon as they realize the message was sent to him, both of them scream in panic. Xian runs off to delete the message from his phone, pretending to flirt and get close to him. In the process, she tumbles off the bed and nearly gives herself a concussion. At that moment, John's friend Hyun walks in and asks if John has feelings for Xian. John dodges the question, trying to stretch the conversation so Xian won't hear. As soon as Hyun leaves, Xian crawls out from under the bed, only for John to return right then and catch the 2 of them in the room together. The 3 of them stand there in awkward silence, like they're holding a moment of mourning for the mess they're in. The situation becomes so overwhelming that Xian ends up vomiting. That night, she starts having nightmares about someone chasing her back in high school. She wakes up terrified. The next morning, there's a commercial shoot for a juice product sponsored by the show. It takes forever to get the lines right, and the director has to reshoot over and over again. During a break, Xian casually tells Haya that the juice tastes absolutely terrible. Unfortunately for her, Haya is secretly recording the whole thing. When filming resumes and it's Xian's turn to speak, Haya plays the recording, loud enough for everyone to hear. The sponsor hears the insult and storms off to the management team, demanding that Xian be kicked off the show. But John steps in and threatens to sue the sponsor for filming inside his hotel without permission. In other words, he defends Xian, and she's allowed to stay in the competition. Eventually, Haya loses all patience and decides to make a deal with Xian. She corners her in the bathroom and offers her a huge amount of money if she agrees not to pick John in the next round. And of course, because Xian is so principled, she immediately abandons her values and accepts the deal. Well, it is a lot of money after all. When John finds out, he's furious and wants to withdraw from the show. But Hyun talks him out of it, telling him that if he really wants to get close to Xian, he needs to stay. That's when we realize John's heart has started to beat for her again. We find out that back in high school, he did have feelings for her. But when he saw her confessing to every guy who walked by, he assumed she was insane and didn't love just him. That's why he left school and the whole city. To get back at Xian, John agrees to pair up with Haya. But Xian isn't backing down. She appears with a new contestant, Hong, another guy she once confessed to during that chaotic confession spree after John rejected her. They have a live cooking challenge, making a cake. John can't stand Hong and gets super jealous. He takes over all the cinnamon while Hong drinks all the milk. Xian is about 2 volts away from completely snapping. Then comes the crucial moment. They must all taste what they cooked. But Xian is allergic to chocolate. Just as she's about to take a bite, Hong saves her just in time. John ends up saving her from the second spoonful too, which makes people really start to suspect that there's something going on between him and Xian outside the show. Haya, realizing this, sends Xian her money back. Xian is left feeling devastated. She cries in front of everyone, but that doesn't stop her from eating. Meanwhile, at the hospital with Lena, we see a masked man disguised as a doctor in her room. The moment Gina enters, he runs away. Gina immediately calls Xian, who rushes over with Hong. Xian finds a pair of gloves discarded nearby and is suddenly reminded of her recurring high school nightmare, of a past accident. From a distance, she hears footsteps approaching. Frozen in fear, heart pounding, she braces herself. But it's only John. He was there for a checkup at the same hospital as her sister. She doesn't realize this at first, though, and ends up hitting him before he can explain. Eventually, she goes with him to see the doctor and assumes they're married. But John quickly shuts that idea down. Hong arrives, and the 3 of them end up standing there awkwardly. Even when Xian tries to leave, she doesn't know who to go with. So she just grabs the car keys and heads to the parking garage. While she's getting the car, we see Hong and John talking. It turns out John has known from the beginning that the girl wasn't Lena. It was Xian all along. Then Xian pulls up and takes both of them with her. Meanwhile, Haya is still plotting to sabotage her. She decides to trigger Xian's chocolate allergy by slipping chocolate into her tea. It works. Xian immediately has a reaction. Haya confronts her and claims she knows Xian isn't really allergic and demands that she eat the chocolate to prove her identity. Cornered, Xian does just that. Suddenly, John shows up, as always, and saves her before she reveals the truth. He completely humiliates Haya, who's left speechless and searching for her dignity, and not finding it. Afterward, Xian is taken to the hospital again, but luckily the episode passes quickly. Later on, Xian and Haya attend a meeting with the show's sponsor, but he turns out to have bad intentions, pressuring them to drink alcohol until they're unsteady and vulnerable. He first makes a move on Haya, then turns to Xian. Xian, still conscious, signals to Haya that she's going to escape. She manages to get out and calls for help. Someone runs to find John, who, as usual, arrives just in time. He punches the sponsor and knocks him out cold. While under the influence, Xian asks John if he knows she's not Lena. He tells her he recognized her from the very first day. The next morning, Xian wakes up with no memory of what happened the night before. As she's walking, she runs into John in the elevator. She's surprised. "Oh, wow, I didn't expect to see you." But John, in classic rude John fashion, replies, "Really? You're in my hotel and you're surprised to see me?" Xian, of course, goes quiet, trying to gather her dignity. She asks him what happened last night. He looks at her with disbelief and says, "You seriously don't remember?" Then he walks away, leaving her muttering to herself, "Why doesn't he just tell me? Would it kill him?" Later, in the dressing room, a woman barges in and aggressively slaps Xian, but Xian immediately slaps her back. We find out this woman is the wife of the show's sponsor, the same man who tried to take advantage of Xian and Haya. She accuses Xian of being immoral and trying to seduce her husband. She even has photos of them together. But John arrives just in time. He tells the wife that it was her husband who came on to Xian and Haya, not the other way around. He even shows her the bruise from where he punched him. John tells her, as a wife, she should already know her place and who her husband really is. While they're talking, John suddenly notices someone suspicious, someone masked and hiding among the camera crew. He tries to follow him, but the man escapes. And just like that, scandalous photos begin spreading everywhere, highlighting the epic love story that's unfolding. The rumors about John and Xian unfortunately reach Hong. He goes to her house feeling deeply upset, hurt that she dragged him into the competition and made him look bad. But while he's there, John suddenly shows up too. Xian ends up sitting between the two of them like a referee at an Ali versus Zamalek match. As the three talk outside the house, John notices someone suspicious watching them. He tries to follow the person, then suddenly gets a call from them. Flashback. We're taken back to a time when John had protected Xian from an attack. Sadly, he was beaten badly, so much that he suffered a serious leg injury. But he didn't give up. He had already reported the incident to the police, who came and arrested the attacker. Back to the present, the criminal finally appears before him. We find out his name is Sun. He tells John that it was because of him that he was thrown in prison for many years. During that time, he lost a finger, his mother committed suicide, and his wife left him. He blames John, saying that if he had just run away that day instead of interfering, none of this would have happened. He justifies what he did by claiming he was drunk. Now, with nothing left to lose, he threatens John. Not only will he destroy him, but he'll ruin Xian's reputation too. Then he walks away. As he leaves, John feels a sharp pain in his leg, an old injury from the incident that required surgery on his knee joint. John returns to Xian and Hong. Xian beams when she sees him, and suddenly there are 2 glasses of water in front of her, one from Hong, the other from John. Worried, John insists on walking her to her door. When he finds out she'll be staying the night alone, he decides, without asking her, to stay the night too. While he's asleep, Xian gets close to him and starts flirting. Suddenly, he wakes up in a panic when he sees her so close. She quickly pretends she was just swatting away mosquitoes, clapping her hands in the air like she's trying to get rid of them. Next comes the rest of the commercial shoot for the show. Xian is partnered with John, while Haya is paired with the first brand ambassador, Sehun. Wanting to grab attention, Haya lies and says that she and Sehun are actually getting married. The shoot begins. Sehun manages to win a ton of teddy bears. John doesn't win any, so he starts improvising. Xian gets annoyed at Haya's show-off behavior, but John goes into full Prince Kim mode and buys her every teddy bear from the game. Sehun gifts Haya a necklace, but of course, John doesn't stay quiet. He gifts Xian a ring in return. Then, things turn serious again. Xian visits her sister in the hospital. Meanwhile, Haya shows up too. She received a message from Sun, the criminal, urging her to come and expose the truth about Xian and Lena. But of course, John steps in and saves the day. Again, he tells Haya they're at the hospital because Xian is just getting a little Botox. Nothing serious. Because Xian was just getting a bit of Botox or something minor like that. At this point, Xian, John, Gina, and Hyun are all playing the game openly. Xian keeps trying to stay on John's good side so he doesn't reveal her true identity to anyone. Then comes the day of Xian's exam. One of her classmates, a loud and nosy girl, follows her everywhere, making a huge scene. Of course, Haya doesn't miss this golden opportunity. She heads to the school, hoping to expose Xian based on the messages she received from the criminal. But as usual, John comes to the rescue. He tells Haya that Xian was only at the school for some charity work, and unfortunately, she wasn't feeling well and needs to be taken home. After Xian leaves with John, she starts to realize that she's falling for him again. She gives him back his jacket and walks away. She goes straight to Gina and starts lamenting her bad luck, how she's fallen in love with him again after 6 years. Gina advises her to just give herself a chance, for once in her life, to go with her feelings. So Xian tries. We see several hilarious and over-the-top attempts where she tries to seduce John, but they all fail miserably. Later, they attend a press conference related to the show. Unfortunately, Haya has something big planned. She makes a dramatic reveal, claiming that the person they think is Xian is actually not her, and she shows a picture of the real Lena, Xi'an's sister, who's currently in the hospital. But John and Xi'an had anticipated this. They had pre-recorded a video of Xi'an, pretending it was a live call from the hospital. In it, she confirms that she is the real Xi'an, and the woman in front of them is her sister, Lena. Haya is humiliated in front of everyone. But of course, she doesn't stop. She suddenly receives another message from the criminal, Sun, containing a photo of the contract between John and Lena. He threatens to expose the truth. Their relationship is fake. John, unbothered, owns up to everything in front of the press. He admits that they weren't in a real relationship at first, but he also confesses that he fell in love with her. Then he announces that their engagement party is happening in just 3 days. Haya storms off to her room, furious. Suddenly, Sun appears in front of her and reminds her of who he is. Flashback. We see that Haya was with Xi'an the day they were attacked. Unfortunately, Sun had taken some extremely compromising and damaging photos of her. Now he's blackmailing her. He tells her that if she doesn't lure Xi'an to him, he'll release the photos and destroy her. Meanwhile, Hyun has arranged for Gina and Xi'an to be driven around by what they believe is their personal driver. He and John are investigating who's been digging into their lives. They soon figure it out. It's Sun, who's disguised himself as their new driver and is now with Xi'an and Gina in the car. John and Hyun immediately rush out to save them, but Sun has already driven away with them. John jumps in his car and speeds to the house. He finds it, and from his face, it's clear just how worried he was about her. He then heads to meet Haya, as she had requested, but Sun is already there. There, Sun tries to drug John, but John manages to overpower him. Just as he's about to call security, Sun warns him that the devils, Xi'an and others, are in his hands. If anything happens to him, no one will ever know where they are. We then see Xi'an locked inside a storage warehouse, unable to escape. Back with John, the drug starts to kick in, weakening him. Sun threatens him again. Either he gets close to Haya and lets him film it to expose him publicly, or he'll lose Xi'an forever. Because right now, she's trapped inside a refrigerated warehouse. John wounds his own hand to bleed and flush the drug from his system. He escapes the room and rushes to search for Xi'an. Meanwhile, Xi'an is still trapped, but at last, John finds her and rescues her. After that, he catches the man in charge of the warehouse and beats him. John makes it clear that it's in his best interest to tell the police the truth, that it was Sun who gave him the location of the warehouse. So he's only exposing what Sun did in the first place. The press conference begins. Sun sends messages to all the attendees claiming that John was at Haya's place. When the reporters arrive there, they find that Haya is dead. Of course, John is accused of killing her. While John defends himself, Xi'an suddenly realizes he's the one who saved her and Haya from the criminal. She steps forward to defend him and publicly admits the full truth. But then, the reporters turn on her. They accuse her of driving Haya to end her life, because Haya loved John too. The media frenzy is over the top, and they even try to attack Xi'an. She tries to escape and runs to the parking garage where she finds Sun waiting, ready to blackmail her again. He tells her he won't stop until he's completely ruined her. Their reputations start to fall apart. Even at a restaurant, customers tell them to leave. But when they do, people clap mockingly, celebrating their humiliation. When they return home, they find a package waiting, a flash drive. To their surprise, it's from Haya. In her final act, she did something good. She confessed everything in a video before taking her life. John and Xi'an decide to hand it over to the police. But then, as Xi'an gets into John's car, she realizes that Sun is the one driving it. Meanwhile, John has been knocked unconscious and is now back at the warehouse. When he wakes up, Sun is standing over him, threatening Xi'an's life again. He demands John play the video to confirm it's the same one. John plays the flash drive and, pretending to comply, shows him the video. But suddenly, he stomps on Sun's foot and knocks him off balance. Unfortunately, Sun manages to stab John in the back. Even injured, John fights back, overpowering Sun until the police arrive and arrest him. Luckily, John had already sent them a copy of the video earlier. They rush John to the hospital. Fortunately, his wound is superficial and he recovers quickly. Meanwhile, Lena finally wakes up from her coma. And so, the drama ends on a happy note. Xi'an and John get married. Thankfully, Gina, her loyal friend, ends up in a relationship with Hyun. And with that, our series comes to an end.